All right, today we're going to take a high-speed trip through the last 100 years or so just to see how much our world has been totally transformed. We're talking everything from the jeans you might be wearing right now to the city skyline outside. You'll see how so much of it has become, well, almost completely unrecognizable. Let's jump in.
It's a pretty simple question, right? But the answer is just staggering. To kick things off, let's look at something we all do without a second thought: making a phone call. So back in 1892, this was the absolute peak of communication tech. You're looking at Alexander Graham Bell himself making that very first long-distance call. The goal was huge, but it was singular. Just get a human voice from one city to another. For its time, that was nothing short of a miracle. And now, this is our reality. A smartphone isn't just a better phone. It's a completely different thing that's reshaped our entire society. It's your map, your bank, your camera, your TV, your library. It's the hub for your entire digital life. That monumental achievement from 1892, it's now just one app out of thousands on a little device that connects you to basically everyone on Earth. A total transformation. Okay, so let's bring it down from this huge global scale to something way more personal: the clothes on our back. And what could be more familiar than a simple pair of blue jeans?
So in the 50s, when stars like Marilyn Monroe made jeans cool, they were definitely not about comfort. I mean, they were as stiff as a board, 100% cotton, built for work. For a lot of women, if you wanted a pair, you had to buy men's jeans and then try to tailor them at home, just wrestling with that rigid fabric to make it fit your body.
And today, the denim itself is a totally different beast. It's not just cotton anymore, it's a composite material, a blend of cotton and plastic polymers like elastane. The whole point has shifted from just being durable to being all about comfort, stretch, and keeping its shape. The fabric's very chemical makeup has changed to fit our modern, more comfortable lifestyles. Now, let's scale back up from our clothes to the machines that get us around. And let's start with the car. Back in 1915, the Ford Model T wasn't just a new car. It was basically an explorer in a world that wasn't built for it yet. I mean, think about it. There was no real highway system, no gas stations on every corner. Driving this thing, this horseless carriage, was a genuine adventure into the unknown. You had to deal with a complete lack of infrastructure. And here's today's pioneer, the EV. What's really wild about this comparison is just the speed of change. A Tesla isn't just a car, it's a software-driven computer on wheels. But even more than that, the infrastructure to support it is being built at a pace that just blows away the early 20th century. What took decades to build for gas stations is taking just a few years for charging networks. And this chart just lays out the physical change so perfectly. Just look at these numbers. Modern cars have gotten way longer and wider, and they've become incredibly heavy. We're talking more than 2.5 times the weight of a Model T. But the craziest shift? It's the height. The old car is so much taller than the new one. Its whole physical presence on the road has completely flipped. Okay, let's hit the skies. The original airplane, the Wright Flyer, was just a marvel of pure raw purpose. It was this delicate thing made of wood and fabric, totally open to the wind. Its entire reason for being was to solve one single massive challenge: to prove that a human could actually achieve controlled, powered flight. That was it. Now compare that to a modern jet like an Airbus E320. The main engineering puzzle isn't just how do we get off the ground anymore. The whole game is that this thing is a pressurized vessel. Its shape is all about creating a tiny, self-contained ecosystem that can keep hundreds of people alive in the freezing, thin air 8 miles up. It's less a flying machine and more like a flying habitat, all run by computers that make this impossible feat feel totally routine for millions of us every single day. So, from our clothes to our cars, the transformation is pretty obvious. But now we're going to kick it up to the biggest scale of all: the actual ground we live on and the cities we've built. So here's New York City in the 1920s, pretty much the birthplace of the modern skyline. The steel frame was this new invention that let us start building up, creating icons like the Empire State Building. This was the blueprint for the 20th century city, the steady, brick-by-brick climb towards the sky.
And this is New York today. It's not just taller, it's denser. A literal forest of what they call super talls. These huge mega projects have completely reshaped whole neighborhoods in just a handful of years. And while it's a century of evolution, this new density has real effects, pushing rents sky high and changing the face of the city. Now let's look at a whole different kind of city growth. This was Dubai in the 1980s, a small port city, really. Sheikh Zayed Road, which is now famous for being this canyon of skyscrapers, was just a highway cutting through a pretty empty desert, with just a few towers here and there. And this is Dubai now. It's an instant metropolis. Seriously, what took New York 100 years to build, Dubai did in about 20. It's a completely man-made landscape, a hyper-dense city that is absolutely 100% unrecognizable from what it was just a few decades ago. This is what it looks like when you compress a century of development into just 20 years.
Of course, when you see change happen that fast, it brings up some pretty intense debate. The sources for this explainer get into some sharp criticism. One perspective puts it very bluntly, that this kind of progress is built on exploitation, and it's captured right here in this direct quote from the discussion. But that exact same discussion also offers a counter-argument. This viewpoint suggests that, hey, a lot of the historic cities we celebrate today also have some really dark stories in their past, and that over time, we tend to forget about those origins. Our goal here isn't to take a side, but just to show that this very debate is a huge part of the story of this kind of rapid change. So we've seen what has changed, but to wrap this up, let's look at the how. The very nature of the problems we're trying to solve has changed, and nothing shows this better than how computing has evolved. So here's the key takeaway. The fundamental physical challenge has completely inverted. It's flipped on its head. In the early days, the problem was size. How do we cram all these huge vacuum tubes into one machine? Today, the chips are tiny, almost weightless. The new problem? It's heat. The massive size of a modern supercomputer is mostly just for cooling it down, for managing all the energy that comes from cramming so much power into such a tiny space. We went from fighting size to fighting heat. Which really brings us to the final thought. We've seen how cars and clothes and entire cities can become these unrecognizable relics within a single lifetime. So I want you to just take